My name is Katie, and I am talking to you from my mom's favorite chair. I wanted to make this video because I recently had a reading at this place called the Pop Hop. I wanted to provide this zine reading for anyone that couldn't make it out there, but also because I really wanted to try and animate a zine. So I'm just gonna kind of give you a little taste of what that was like. My name's Katie Soldavilla. I am a Filipino American artist born, raised, and based in sunny Los Angeles. I'm also the creator behind Yakapin Studio, which in Tagalog translates to embrace or to hug somebody. I had rebranded to Yakapin Studio in 2022 because I wanted to start creating more artwork inspired by my own culture or experience as a Filipino American, also be recognized as a Filipino owned business. And the reason why I call it Yakapin Studio is because my mom and I are huge, like huge into embracing and hugging all the time. We're like big huggers. And she always would say you need at least 12 hugs a day in order to survive. And I think that's honestly really true. Like some of the first few words that I learned in Tagalog were words of affection. Sorry if the translations aren't quite right. Like, I am not fluent whatsoever. So please, if there's a better way to translate this, please drop it in the comments. And I loved learning about this language, about this culture that my mom had passed down to me through, feelings of love because it just always feels so much more when it's, in literally any other language than English, because there's just some words that don't translate in English, as we all know. Here's some of the stuff that I have done with Yakapin Studio. I primarily started with zines, but then I've kind of grown into like stickers and keychains and prints, and I'm also obsessed with TV and movies. I'm hoping that, maybe a year from now or 2 years from now, I could create more pieces or more things that highlight my personal experience being a Filipino American in LA. With that being said, it brings us to the zine that I am here to read for you today, and it's called Why Did You Shave Your Head? This is a zine that I had created in September of 2022. This zine to me is extremely important and extremely personal to me as well. Like, I don't think I've really been this attached to my art in so long. I think the last time I was ever this attached to my artwork was when I was maybe like a teen or something like that. But it's because it is about somebody that is extremely important to me that I still look up to this day, and somebody that I love so dearly and has done so much for me and has been my number one fan from day one. To give you a little backstory on my mom, she studied to become a nurse in the Philippines. She went to a really top school there. In the 70s, she immigrated to America and she continued to work as a nurse here as well. At some point, she felt that her calling was not within nursing, but somewhere else within the medical field. So she was actually very interested in pursuing a career in mental health and went back to school for that. She found a job in a company that offered mental health services for the Asian and Pacific Islander community. Any immigrant family often did not really think that therapy or mental health services is a necessity. So it's huge that something like this would exist. And the thing was, like, everybody in her staff was bilingual. And this opens up opportunities for people to have these services that didn't have English as a first language. After a few years working there, she ended up going into real estate because it was booming, and also because she had become pregnant with me at some point. It was just easier to have a flexible schedule with that career choice. So she has walked up and down several hills here in LA selling homes. She did that for a little bit and then she decided she wanted to go back into mental health. She had worked as a psychiatric nurse for 30 years. She really excelled at her job and then she retired. And something that she had always done when she was working was she kept up with this hobby of sewing. Now, this woman can sew. The first thing she ever sewed for me was like this pilgrim costume. I just remember having a bonnet and like a little bodice thingy. and then long sleeves and then a skirt. She sewed, I think, at least three of those things. And I just remember thinking in my 7-year old brain, oh my God, this is the best costume ever. This is better than every other costume I've seen in the Halloween store. Like, no one can tell me any different. My mother is an amazing seamstress because her work was so clean and professional. All of her discipline that she had in her regular job just carried on into her hobby. She had a huge bag phase as well. Also, when I was like super into anime, she would also be the one that would sew my costumes. And I was just so like, oh, girl, I can't believe like I just demanded perfection from my mom because I knew what she was capable of, but like I didn't know what I was asking for sometimes. She sewed some of my first costumes when I was cosplaying, going to Anime Expo. She'd come with me and just walk around on her own while me and my friends walked around picking up like all this free stuff that they give you at the convention. She's she's like the most supportive person that I've ever seen in my entire life. So when she retired, she actually ended up joining the local quilt guild at some point, and I think that's where she like really flourished. She was like finding her passion. She was really curious about creating color palettes and how color worked. I think she just really started to flourish creatively. And even in the pandemic, like that did not stop this woman from learning. Like she will take anything from like TV, YouTube, or like a book or like a comic or whatever, and she'll find the most educational thing on there and then learn something new. And I love that about her. Not only did she quilt and find her purpose within the Quilt Guild, she also volunteered a lot too. She loves being able to do something for underserved communities. And one of the last places that she volunteered at was over in Hollywood, and she would help them, like help teach them classes of like how to like crochet, just doing like a creative activity like once a week. One of the last things that she did with them was create a quilt with all of their clients, and she had them trace their hand on a fabric that they chose, and she had them write down next to it what they something that they liked about themselves and then their name. I'm really happy that they have that piece of her with them as well, because she was so adamant about finishing that project up because, COVID was just beginning to happen. And I know whenever she'd come back from that place, like she would just be so happy and like tell me about the new thing that she learned that day. And yeah, I'm just really proud of the human being that created me, I guess. So that brings me to the zine that I made. This zine is something that I had made late last year in September 2022, but at the time I had so much happening and I did not have the capacity to put it out into the world like this. So, to give you some backstory on the zine, last year my mom was diagnosed with cancer, and it was pretty late in the stages, and it was not something that they could operate on, so the only option was chemo. And then chemo didn't work, so then she just decided to spend her time at home with me. And I tried briefly to do the freelancing and taking care of mom, but because like it's just me and her, it was really hard. I couldn't do it, and I don't have any siblings, and my dad is not in the picture for a reason. As hard as it was, as difficult as it was to just kind of get the swing of things and start understanding things and build a routine on things, like I'm just so grateful that we had those times together. And I had originally bought this camera to record my last few years being in my 20s, but I I was looking through the footage and I'm just so happy that I was able to catch some good moments in there with her. This zine is about being able to become this person for someone that I had leaned on for so long in my life, and to be the person that they can depend on. Like I I'm just surprised I had it in me. So that's what Why Did You Shave Your Head is about. This is Why Did You Shave Your Head by Katie Soldavilla, also known as Yakapin Studio. Dedicated to our hospice care team and caregivers who made it possible for me to create this zine. I would also like to dedicate this zine to my mom, who has been my biggest inspiration. When I shave my head, I never stop to think about what other people would say about it. I get comments and questions like, I could never do that. Not everyone can pull it off. Wow, I need to get used to this. Are you going to grow it back? Why did you shave it? And my personal favorite, which is just looking at the top of my shaved head. Throughout the years, some part of my head has always been shaved or cut short. Even when I had a pixie cut, I never got these reactions. This is apparently the most thought-provoking haircut I've ever had. Do you guys experience this too? This was me a year ago in 2021. I was fresh out of the salon, full of hope it would stay this way with minimal effort, and I had short silver hair that grew. This was me in May this year, 2022, with super crispy split ends. I am not good at taking care of my hair, and it felt like hay. And it grew into a long, wavy, and difficult to maintain mane of hair. This year, everything changed. My mom told me, Anak, I have cancer. My mom was diagnosed with stage 4 appendiceal cancer. In January, the doctor said that the prognosis is not looking good. In February, my mom had her first chemo appointment. In April, chemo didn't work, and the doctor said, I'm sorry, I have no more treatment for you. And then in May, my mom came home to spend her remaining time together. Every month has been harder than the last. I stopped working to focus on taking care of my mom. I was making decisions I wasn't prepared to make. And being an only child and no dad in the picture, I felt so alone in the beginning. My worries were about more than just my hair. Between the hospice care, her meds, the palliative care, the lawyer, the trust, her limited diet, and my feelings of hopelessness, I just dissolved into an unkempt ball of stress. With hospice staff in and out of our house, the constant unpredictability of mom's cancer, an endless to-do list every day, my hair was just a nuisance that slowed me down. Despite all that, there have been many small but meaningful victories that fueled me to keep going. Every day was a good day as long as we tried to find the good in it. I found love and courage in me that I didn't know existed. I was no longer the person I was at the start of the year. I shaved my head to shed the person I was. I shaved my head so I could focus on my mom. I shaved my head to remind myself I have the strength to withstand this and so much more. My confidence doesn't come from the hair I do or don't have. My mom says that I'm beautiful, and that is enough for me. And this end page, I just had like one of my initial sketches of how I wanted to draw it, trying to figure out the style. I wanted to be able to draw my shaved head without just drawing a regular circle or making it look smooth, and I wanted to add texture to it. Yeah, when I completed the zine, I actually finished it in September last year, 2022. In October, my mom had passed, so I revised this last page to have a dedication for my mom. And so you'll see there's two photos of me with hair with mom and then me without hair with mom, who has always been notorious for having just great bedhead. And it says, in memory of my favorite person in the universe, my mom. Out of all the moms I could have ended up with, I'm glad I got you. Thank you for filling my life with so much love, light, and wisdom. Until we meet again, mahal kita hanggang magunaw ang mundo, which she told me translates to, I love you until the world melts. And so, thank you for listening to my zine and letting me share a moment of vulnerability with you. I know a lot of this is not easy to talk about. I just kind of, in a sense, want my mom to be able to live on through not just my memory, but the memory of other people. Yeah, I just hope that whoever you have in your life right now, your friends, your family, your partners, even pets or whatever, like the thing that I treasured the most out of all of that was just the boring times, honestly. Like slow Sundays, or just sitting next to each other and playing the same game, or reading the magazine and I'm drawing. I miss those times. So I think those are the moments that I miss the most because they always felt like they would last forever. You have so much more potential and so much more within you than you think that there is possible. I think that's one of the main things that I learned last year. So I'm really glad that I could be this person for my mom because I I really didn't think I had it in me, and I'm not saying that any of it is easy. None of this is meant to be easy. Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a good day. Take deep breaths, have a good cry, okay? And yeah, just tell people that you love them and what they mean to you more often because you don't want to miss out on a chance. If you're interested in getting your own physical copy of Why Did You Shave Your Head, I have them available on my store at yakupinstudio.com. So here's just like a little snapshot of what you'd be getting. This is all printed on 20-pound paper. So sometimes you can see through to the artwork on the other side a little bit, but you still get the depth of the story pretty well. And actually, with this page, I made little 5x7 prints of this page right here. And I actually held a poll of this on my Instagram, and everybody decided to vote for this one. But fun fact, it's also my mom's favorite page. I have the physical copies, I have the mini print. Also, I will be making a digital version of this zine available online as well. Right now, I just have it available for shipping within the States because I need to figure out like how to do all that international shipping. I haven't used Shopify before, so if it's a little bumpy, I'm sorry. I'm still figuring stuff out. I'm new to the whole thing, so please forgive me for any errors on my end. I'm not sure when the next video I'll make will be, but I do have a few ideas brewing. I can't make any promises of when that will be. Also, if you are somebody that's in LA and enjoy going to art markets, I occasionally do vend at these markets. You can go and follow me on Instagram because I'm more active on there than here. I just lurk here on YouTube. So if you're interested in that, please give me a follow at Yakupin Studio on Instagram, and I usually keep updates there. Bye, y'all. For real. Bye. Wow. Ooh. Ah. Okay.